My name's Nordin Rahhali. I'm Visual Effects Supervisor for Jingle Jangle. I got involved with Jingle Jangle as having a meeting with Netflix. That went well. They then wanted me to follow up with a meeting with David Talbert to make sure that we kind of had a good connection. And that meeting went very well. He's a big personality, very easy to get along with, and I think we share certain traits in our personalities. So that we hit it off right off the bat. And it didn't take very long after that they offered me the role, and it jumped at the opportunity. I think the things that sprung to mind for me the most were really just how wholesome the story was. I've done a lot of visual effects on films that have a lot of explosions and high body counts, and it was nice to be involved with something that was just wholesome, that I feel like will have a timeless, classic feel to it that is bending the genre a little bit. So it's nice to have a really fresh perspective on this. And something I think I'll be really proud to show my own kids, my daughters, and and hopefully their friends as well. Something that they can, just feel good about watching. There was already a version of Buddy that had been concepted out before I was involved, and the same with Don Juan. And I thought I think everyone loved Don Juan right off the bat. Like, he has the right personality, the right character. He's a matador. You can see the flair in just how his design is. Buddy, I wasn't 100% hot on. And so one of the first things I did to David was try to feel him out, how sensitive. I don't want to come in here and wrecking ball, hit ideas that someone is in love with. I just personally didn't really like the design. So after kind of just feeling him out a little bit, I kind of caught just enough of an opening, a gap, where I felt like maybe he wasn't 100% sold on that design either. And so I took the opportunity to redesign him. And so with some talented artists back at Frame Store, I went through a whole round of just trying new ideas, found out very quickly what he didn't like, but it was great because from what he didn't like, I was able to kind of hone in on what he did like, and then we ended up redesigning him. And I think we have a Buddy that everyone kind of loves now, and it's an immediate heartwarming, character. You're only as good as the team that you have around you, so you have a lot of great artists that are extremely talented in what they do. And so I get input from David, and then I have my own creative ideas that go back and forth that I'll bounce off of him, kind of see the things that he likes and doesn't like. And from that, I then pass that information down the chain to the other artists that will be doing the work. And we internally do some revisions until I feel like we've honed in on something that I could really kind of show David, something that he'll be excited about. So putting in technology that isn't that tested is a big deal. But one of the advantages of doing this, and the thing that really made me want to jump on this endeavor and try to make it work, was we have characters that are performing next to actors. So there's two talents that are working together. And generally, the way you would do this before is you would block it out with a puppet and kind of work out through the scene on the table or whatever they might be doing. There would be a person off camera that's reading the lines of that personality. And it would be very minimal, they're kind of back and forth. What's really nice about having another actor off stage saying the lines, and then we have a video tap that has a composite of the live performance, is that the actor can actually look at what they're doing and start kind of riffing on ideas. And so you have what you would naturally have with two actors on a scene, building the scene and making it better. You have NCAM, which is a system of essentially cameras that are mounted to the physical cameras. And what these do is that they kind of track the world. They have sensors on them, and there's software, there's an operator that is able to kind of track the world so that you get an actual real-time representation of what the camera's doing. That includes the lens, focal distance, all that information. That information is one component of the chain. Another chain is someone that's wearing a motion capture suit, a little different than a traditional motion capture studio where you have a bunch of cameras and a space that is fixed. This is a bunch of sensors on a suit that allows you to kind of move in a small space anywhere. So it's very flexible. So you have a chain of three different components. You have the NCAM that virtually tracks the world. That's being fed data from a character that is moving around, that's being driven into an Unreal Engine that's getting composited live. For me, Buddy is a very important character. He's endearing, lovable, bringing the family together. Not so much a fragility, I think, as much as just just really kind of the embodiment of like a family love. I mean, it's maybe as cheesy as that sounds. That's kind of what he is to me. You know, he is the glue that brings this family that went through a very, dark time, especially with the father and his loss of his life's work, his loss of his wife, just his whole family part like just deteriorating around him, goes into a dark place. And then, the spark of his granddaughter coming back and rediscovering Buddy that he has been still thinking about and working on all these years, for me is a wonderful. It embodies Buddy perfectly. It's just the glue to the family, brings them all back together. I wanted them to visualize formulas floating in the air. Their mind is making everything kind of happen, and kind of figure things out, and different formulas kind of transforming in space, in a 3D space, and being able to reach out and grab something and put it in and watch the formula kind of adapt and change around it. It was an idea that I had when I read the script, and I passed that along to David, and he loved it. So we did some very rough, just 2D concepts to illustrate what that might look like. He loved the look of it, the style. We're still developing it at the moment, but what was nice is that from that we had a color palette. Journey is a cooler cyan color, and Jeronicus's ability was a warmer kind of amber color. And so you have two distinct color palettes, but their visualization, what they see, is very similar. One thing that did inspire me actually is virtual reality. I'm a big tech geek, and one of the things that I've done with my kids, they have Google has a Google Paint program where in 3D you can kind of draw, and you can move around, things that you've just drawn in 3D space. And so that was something that kind of inspired me as something that would have depth and fixed amount of space there that she could move around, draw. And so that was a little bit of an inspiration, was what I saw in kind of a virtual reality setup. When the first time you see Jeronicus, he comes down and he has a mechanical toy cat. And a bunch of kids come around. He's really excited to show this off. He kind of activates it, puts it on the floor, it purrs a little bit, and then pounces off into the back. The kids go chasing it, and it's stuff like that he can invent that no one else can. I mean, even to this day, it's not really a practical thing that anyone would build. But that's what his shop is. It's imagination and creativity and all those things that we love. Realized at the fullest, and that's what he brings, this inspiration and pure creative freedom. I hope that this becomes a holiday classic. I really do. I think it has all the hallmarks to be that. It's like I said, genre breaking in some ways. It's putting a lot of minorities and such up front and center that traditionally are very white stories, to be honest. I mean, that's kind of what it is. So it's really nice to see something that's taking place in the 1800s that is inclusive of all races. It's a musical, which I think is a wonderful thing. The music is amazing. It's a great story of family, of loss, and then bringing that family back together again, and hope and creativity. And I think it touches a lot of the check boxes that, if you're going to watch a holiday film that may have legs and you'll be watching 10, 20 years in the future, I really hope that this becomes that. That's what I hope. It's a little bit of Mary Poppins, it's a little bit of Winnie the Pooh, it's a little bit of these stories where you enter a storybook, and you're really being told a story. And I love the idea of watercolors, because watercolors have motion in themselves. If you ever see, you apply paint and you see the paint kind of running through the page, there's an energy to just a paint stroke, and how that water, bleeds into the page that I wanted to try to explore. Very excited that Ricky Martin is going to be joining us. I think that's amazing. What a perfect personality to be Don Juan, I think. So his voice acting will happen down the line. What we're doing on set, though, just kind of like blocking out the interactions, the books that he stands on, the beakers that he might like lean into and then take a step away from, a platform that he jumps on top of. All those things we're kind of working out with an actor here. Those are all just rough sketches for the scene. As long as we hit the marks where they need to be, we're going to have animators later on fill in the rest. That may or may not be exactly how the person in the X-Sen suit did that performance. And that's a guide. So we probably are going to want to shoot Ricky Martin and just some of his moves and some of his nuances and try to work his personality into the character, which we absolutely will do. And that'll be exciting.